So last week on our live stream, our Thursday night live stream, we were asked to give say something inspirational for those of you who were, having trouble navigating what's happening or what has happened over the past 4 months or so with respect to the Disney parks and, the virus and all that. And I let off my comment on that to that effect by saying that this too shall pass. And it's something that I'm fond of saying in my life. My mother used to say it to me all the time. And I say it a lot to myself and to those around me because it's a reminder that things are never as bad as they seem, nor are they ever really as good as they seem. But that whatever it is that you happen to be going through at a time, all you need from that problem is just a little time and distance. We get this feeling that we're stuck in this never-ending bad place, like this is all it's going to be. But that's not the case. This too shall pass. And what I mean by that is what we're going through now with Disneyland and waiting for it to reopen, and kind of the rough start we've had. It hasn't been as graceful as we would have all hoped. There have been delays, obviously, here in Disneyland, and then things at Disney World are going okay. It's just started, but there's not a lot of guests there, so it's hard to tell, how well it's going actually. So I thought it might be useful to remind ourselves that this too shall pass, and that Disneyland will be open again. I'm confident that it's going to be sooner rather than later, but even if it is later, Disneyland will reopen. You and I are going to be able to walk through that tunnel, hear the sound of the Disneyland Railroad coming into station. Then we're going to board that train, and I'm going to crane my neck for as long as possible, like I always do, just to see those seconds of the crowds going down or through Town Square and down Main Street from the train on top of the tunnel. We're gonna giggle at the announcement that it's a jungle out there. Literally. We're gonna stop at New Orleans Square and make a mental note to get a mint julep because that's a Disney thing to do. And then we'll even wonder why we don't stay in New Orleans Square longer while we're having our mint julep and listen to the Jambalaya Jazz Band. And then we'll keep on going on that train through Splash Mountain while it still is. We're going to wave at the guests passing through that last scene and hope that they wave back. We're going to wave at the guests at the Hungry Bear and admire just how wonderful the Hungry Bear is and what a perfect setting it is to enjoy a meal at Disneyland, perhaps the best in the whole park. And then we'll just shut up and watch the beauty of the rivers of America unfold before us, this new wonderful scene that we have of possibly the Mark Twain or the Columbia or some Davy Crockett canoes. And then we'll comment to ourselves that this will never stop being wonderful to look at, beautiful to look at. And we'll never stop commenting on that. We'll say it every single time because that's something that I say every single time, if not out loud, in my heart, that what a beautiful thing that they've created. And then we can keep waving at guests at Small World. We can peek through those trees at Autopia to see an underrated thing, the look of pure joy as people start their Autopia drive. It may not stay that way the whole time, but you can capture it at the Disneyland Railroad. You can spy, sort of watching those guests sneak through those trees and seeing how happy they are that they're on the Autopia right then. One of the most underrated moments emotionally that I can think of when at the park. And then we keep on going through the dinosaur diorama and wonder what the hell the dinosaur diorama has anything to do with Tomorrowland. Why it's there, I don't know, but we're all glad it is because it's a unique part of the train experience. And then we can get off the Disneyland Railroad and really having set up our day riding the Disneyland Railroad first, just like Walt intended, to ride the train first, to see what awaits you, sneak peeks, as it were, of what kind of day you might have. And we'll walk down Main Street, and you can smell the smells of the baked goods and hear all those acoustic sounds of maybe the Dapper Dans singing somewhere, or the Straw Hatters. Maybe see some characters walking down, taking some pictures. Make a mental note that Jimberly's there, and just realize how long he's been there and what he means historically to Main Street. And then you can stop and look inside Starbucks and complain about how long the line is there just to get a cup of coffee, and think fondly of when it used to be the Market House, and it was much more of a Disney experience. But that's okay, because we do love our Starbucks. And then we keep on walking down Main Street, and you can hear a car honking behind you, and at first you don't realize that it's for you, and then you do realize that you're standing right in the way of the Main Street fire truck, and you sort of do that awkward jump to the right to get out of the way, and then you can watch the guests go by in the fire truck. Or maybe it's a horse-drawn streetcar, and maybe you think to yourself, gosh, I wish I could give a high five to some of those guests on that streetcar. And then you can think in your mind, wouldn't it be great? Because we all think this. Wouldn't it be great if we could jump on the back of that thing and hold on with one hand and lean out to the side like you're on a real streetcar in San Francisco or something like that? And wouldn't that be wonderful? We all wish we could do that at least once. And then on your way to the hub, you can make a mental note again to maybe stop and have lunch at the Plaza Inn for some of the best fried chicken you can get anywhere in the whole county. Or who knows? I haven't been to a lot of places, but I do love the Plaza Inn chicken, and I do love the fact that was Walt's favorite place to eat, and which brings me back to the Plaza Inn every time I can think about it. And you start to make that note about how many of the things that we're about to do on this day that Walt would have appreciated, like the hub, and the hub being Walt's creation. And we can stop there at the hub and figure out what direction we want to go. What kind of adventure do we want to have? An adventure it is. Let's go to Adventureland, guys. Let's go to Adventureland and walk by the Tiki Room. And keep walking, unfortunately, because we got other things to do. But remember that the Tiki Room is an exceptionally Walt thing to do. One of the most legendary historical attractions in the park. Now that I think about it, I can't think of anything better to do right now than to have a Dole Whip. Like, would that be how quickly, when you go to Disneyland again for the first time, how quickly would you make your way to the Dole Whip stand at the Tiki Room or to the Jolly Holiday and get one of their other, variety of Dole Whips? It's simply one of the best treats you can get at Disneyland. But for now, we're going to keep going past the Jungle Cruise and fall in love with that queue. It's such an underappreciated, sort of almost taken for granted queue, the Jungle Cruise is, but it is so perfectly done and executed. It is one of my favorite places to be in all of Disneyland, the Jungle Cruise queue, and the Jungle Cruise for that matter, but we're not going to go there because we got things to do. We're going to go to Indiana Jones. Maybe later, because the Indiana Jones is closed. Indiana Jones being closed, because it's broke down, is part of our shared Disneyland experience, but we'll probably get there eventually. So what's left? Well, we can go to Jungle Cruise. We can go back to that, but that's the 45-minute wait to an hour. Why don't we, let's just go to Tarzan's Treehouse. That's one of those things that you can always do. You can always count on Tarzan's Treehouse as being an experience that you can have no matter how busy it is in the park. And as you make your way through, you're going to get lots of great views of New Orleans Square. As you go further through the land, you can see Pirates of the Caribbean, and just know that that's next on your list. You can't pass up Pirates of the Caribbean. And it's early enough in our day that it's a walk-on, which is great, so we're going to go ahead and ride. As soon as we finish Tarzan's Treehouse, which we've done, we can go and enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean, perhaps the most perfect attraction in all of Disneyland with respect to the experience that the park is trying to give to you as a guest. You can get, impressed by maybe the simplicity of the fireflies. You can wish fondly that you could have lunch at the Blue Bayou, and just remark and think to yourself how wonderful an experience that is to be able to have a very quaint meal while sitting at one of the most legendary attractions in Disneyland history. And then you could think about your favorite scenes as you ride through. What are your favorite scenes from Pirates of the Caribbean? Mine, I'm impressed mostly by the lightning scene with the skeleton pirate trying to navigate that storm through the broke down ship near the beginning of the attraction. Or maybe you could wish that the scene with the town folk being robbed by pirates is the way it used to be, where the pirates actually chased the town folk instead of the town folk chasing the pirates. Or maybe you could wish that they take the Johnny Depp scenes out. Not that you don't love Johnny Depp or love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but you just want your classic Pirates of the Caribbean back. I can't complain, or I can't argue with that. And then as you exit Pirates of the Caribbean and you make your way through New Orleans Square, and you're Haunted Mansion, it's right there. And it's, again, early enough that you can walk on. So we can do that. We can just walk on to Haunted Mansion and share, again, one of the most perfect Disneyland experiences that you can have. You're walking through history every time you do. You can go into the stretching room, and then maybe we'll look for the little spider. You guys remember that spider on the plexiglass in the ballroom scene? And wonder how that got there and how perfect a solution that spider was for the problem at hand. And then now that you've done those completely and wonderfully Disneyland things to do, you can do something completely new for Disneyland. We can go to Galaxy's Edge, a thing that we couldn't do not long ago at all. Where the park would dead end at the Hungry Bear, we can keep on going into Galaxy's Edge. But first, we have to stop at the Davy Crockett Canoes on the Rivers of America to say hi to Duke and watch the perfect simplicity of those canoes being launched and making that silent trek around. Well, sometimes silent, sometimes you've got your skipper cracking jokes, but there are moments when all you can hear are the paddles hitting the water and the sounds of the bugs and other wildlife along that trail by Hungry Bear. And then you can try to realize that you are in the middle of a major metropolis, but somehow Disney has succeeded in transforming you to a completely different time and place at the Rivers of America, where you don't even know that you're in the city of Anaheim. It's completely forgotten. And then you could do... and they keep going to Galaxy's Edge, another time and place where they have completely and successfully transformed you. You are on Batu, and you can listen to all the wonderful sound effects that they have on the way in from that Hungry Bear Trail into Galaxy's Edge, passing Rise of the Resistance, which unfortunately we don't have a boarding pass, but maybe next time. But we can keep going. We can keep going into Galaxy's Edge along the way. Maybe give a high five to Chewbacca, like he belongs there, like you're just old friends, and you're not even surprised to see Chewbacca. It's not even a moment of amazement, like you would, let's say, if you were in Tomorrowland and you saw Chewbacca or Rey or a Stormtrooper. They belong in Galaxy's Edge, and it's very normal and casual running into these guys, and that's an amazing feeling to have. You can stop at Ronto Roasters and get a Ronto wrap, which is quickly becoming one of our favorite things to do. And then maybe after you've eaten your wrap, you go down to the Millennium Falcon, Smugglers Run, and you can look overhead at that whole vista that they've presented for you where the Millennium Falcon is, and you can do your little mental math, your crowd math, on whether or not this is a good time to ride Smugglers Run. Where's the queue? How far does the queue, how deep does it go into the back areas? And really, it doesn't matter, because half the fun of going to Smugglers Run, you realize, is the queue, is being in there, just like Indiana Jones or some other attractions at Disneyland. It's not just about the attraction, so you just go, spend that 45 minutes in Smugglers Run and enjoy one of the most exceptional pre-ride experiences you can have. And again, one that doesn't get enough credit. I'm ranting. in the middle of my... That's just, I mean, dude, the Smugglers Run queue is a work of art. It is a work of art. It is a creation that moves me every time I go in there because of how complete and thorough and finished that experience is. We can get a couple canisters on Smugglers Run, and then you got to think about maybe some snacks. We've already had a Ronto Rep. We're going to do a lot of eating and snacking today, just letting you know, because that's what it's like when you go to Disneyland. There's no limit. You could try to go into Oga's Cantina, but remember that it's almost impossible to get a reservation for Oga, so we got to keep on going. But you can hear the music. You can hear it bumping in there, and you know that there are lots of people in there having a good time. But we'll keep going to the Blue Milk stand. And maybe we get one, maybe we don't. I don't know. I kind of remind myself that as much as I wanted a blue milk at Galaxy's Edge, that was one of the most important things that they could have provided for us in this land. Maybe they didn't pull it off. Maybe. But you know what? It's still pretty good. We'll get a blue milk. Let's get a blue milk because it's fun to get one. And then on our way out, maybe we'll try to punk Kylo Ren or some stormtroopers before heading to the Fantasyland exit and make our way into Fantasyland and then immediately regret it because, oh my God, how busy it is. The crowds in Fantasyland are ridiculous, always at this time of day. So we'll do the one thing. We think about what's the one thing that we can do while we're here in Fantasyland that is easy and not too much of a burden, and that's a dark ride. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, I think, is perfect because the line is just short enough and the ride is just perfect enough to make everything worthwhile. And then on our way out, we can, head past the teacups and again think about the music and the guests and watch happiness happen before our eyes. This is walking by the Mad Tea Party. You don't even have to ride it. Is one of the best ways to visualize, to soak in joy. Kind of like the secret path in Critter Country. The Mad Tea Party is a place to stop and watch joy happen right before your eyes. And then if you're able to exit yourself for just a minute and put yourself in the shoes of one of the guests in those teacups and try to imagine what that moment means for them as part of their day, how they're going to remember that day and that time and that ride. They're going to say a year from now, you guys remember that one time we all went on the Mad Tea Party and Joe spun the thing too fast and I don't like to get sick on rides, but we went anyway and we had a great time and it was a thing to remember. But for now, we're going to keep walking past the Matterhorn and try to see if we can't... Is that a goat? Is there a goat in the Matterhorn queue? Well, let's find out. We'll go into the queue because luckily, one of the first things we did when we got to Disneyland was to get a fast pass for the Matterhorn. Because you need one these days because it doesn't go as quick as it used to, And then you can hold on for dear life as you are throttled, rocked about the Matterhorn Mountain. And, for my money, it's still one of the best rides ever. Even for this old 50-year-old dude with a bad back, I can still respect and admire the Matterhorn for being one of the most ingenious attractions ever. And really one of the most Disney experiences for the mountain and the setting and the vintage quality of the ride vehicle and everything about it. The Matterhorn is awesome. And then, we got to head for Tomorrowland. But before we do, because, it's kind of like... I feel like it's an imperative, for me anyway, as you make that way from Matterhorn to Tomorrowland to stop and spend a solid 20 minutes watching the Finding Nemo subs go by. The Nemo subs, like it or not, it is still one of the best images that your mind or your eyes can consume at Disneyland. And you can spend all that extra time just waiting for that moment for a sub to go by just as it enters the waterfall and a monorail at the same time tracking across the track. And then, I don't know, kind of think wistfully about the days when you could have also maybe seen a people mover. Oh, the people mover. Tracks are still there. There's a track. You can see the track. You can see the track right there next to the monorail. It's still there waiting wanting to be ridden. And then we'll keep on going into Tomorrowland and then realize there's no chance we're going to have of riding anything in there. Space Mountain, we should have got a fast pass for Space Mountain. We should have, right? Because it's 90 minutes or 2 hours for Space. And I don't really feel like doing Star Tours. It makes me sick. Now what are we going to do? Well, we could walk by Nemo again. No, hard pass. The queue, the wait is just too long for what you get. I'd rather just look at Nemo, and then we could turn around and think, reminisce about when Jedi Training Academy used to be there, and kind of wish for that to be back, and wonder why isn't it Galaxy's Edge? Can we talk about that for a minute? Can we talk about why Jedi Training Academy isn't at Galaxy's Edge? Well, maybe next time. But it is time for lunch, and remember, we had promised ourselves to go to the Plaza Inn at the end of Main Street and get some chicken, and that's just what we're going to do. 5 out of 5. I would chicken again at the Plaza Inn. And then you can reflect again as you finish up your chicken lunch that this was one of Walt's favorite places to eat. Probably his favorite from what I remember hearing. And how much of Walt is in the design of that place. Lillian too, for that matter. There's a lot of Walt in the design of Plaza Inn. And now you think, I want to do more things. I want to extend my Walt moment here and do something that Walt would have loved. And 100%, the next thing that enters my mind is crossing right through the hub and into Frontierland and onto a Mark Twain riverboat. And then try again to recite the speech at the beginning, something that I still haven't figured out, but I'm sure Ian has down to every last word. But I always screw up on the actual Mark Twain, that part. I always say that at the wrong time in my mind. But it's still fun to try. And then again, we get to wave at all the guests along the rivers of America in New Orleans Square. I personally, whenever I get very emotional when we do that part, because I don't know, seeing the way the New Orleans Square is presented to you from the Mark Twain and watching all those guests living their best Disneyland lives, it hits me right in the heart, and I feel so emotional just watching that, observing how much fun other people are having, the people getting onto Pirates of the Caribbean. And for some of those folks, it's like their number one thing to do. Same thing for Haunted Mansion. An imperative, like my wife Liz, who no matter how many times she goes to Disneyland, she has to ride the Haunted Mansion. It's in her DNA. And then we can keep going past the Haunted Mansion and wave at the guests who've just finished their Splash Mountain splashdown at the Secret Path, and wave at the guests at the Secret Path who are there on the Secret Path to enjoy you, and they're there to think about the experience that you're having right now, that we're having on the Mark Twain, and they get to think how wonderful that is for us. Isn't that what Disneyland's all about? The shared experience. The shared experience that we have, either we're doing the thing or we're watching somebody do the thing, and we're all feeling the same thing. I want to share that again. I want to be on that Mark Twain, waving at somebody on the Secret Path, or watching somebody get soaked on the Splash Mountain drop. And then you can keep going around the river and find that little nuanced area where all you can hear are the sounds of the paddle wheel and the smokestacks, and everything else is gone. And you can feel happiness and pride, even knowing that you've just had a quintessential Disney experience. It's not about the rides per se. I mean, the ride it's just a vehicle. It's just a way to transmit that feeling, and that's what I need tapped into my veins, is that feeling that we get when we're at Disneyland. That feeling that can't be described, but you know it when you feel it. You know it. You're at Disneyland and you're having a Disneyland moment. And then you're done with your ride on Mark Twain, and you remember that you had promised yourself a mint julep at New Orleans Square, which is right around the river bend. And you wait for however long it requires to get a mint julep, because sometimes it can be quite a while. Sometimes you can get fast or mobile order. Sometimes the mobile order doesn't work. It's kind of a drag, but you're going to get that mint julep anyway, and you're going to enjoy that mint julep and maybe some beignets, of course, be they the traditional beignets or maybe one of the seasonal ones. We always try the seasonal ones, but there's something kind of perfect about the traditional beignets. And then you can spend some time, maybe you catch that jambalaya jazz band, spend some time at the market, or I mean at the French market. Probably too much time, because especially if you're doing this with friends, you can spend a solid 30, 45 minutes sipping that mint julep and enjoying the beignets, watching the foot traffic go by in New Orleans Square, watching the river traffic go by from the river if you get the right kind of seat. And then you realize, Pirates of the Caribbean is it's right there. And it's a little longer than it was, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because Pirates goes quick. And you ride Pirates of the Caribbean again for the second time, and why not? Because it's Pirates of the Caribbean, and you can never get too much Pirates of the Caribbean. And then you exit Pirates, you make that left back down New Orleans Square, and think again about Blue Bayou. And remember that one time you did get to have lunch there at the Blue Bayou and how amazing it was. But not today. We can't do it today. We've just had lunch, equally memorable, at the Plaza Inn. But remember, we've got plans to see the afternoon parade on Main Street. So what other thing can we do? It's right there in New Orleans Square, just calling for you when you hear the announcement. That is for you to get on that Disneyland Railroad. And we're going to take that back to Main Street before we find our spot somewhere on Main Street. Because enjoying a parade at Disneyland you can enjoy it anywhere, no doubt. But the most Disneyland way to do it is on Main Street. So our group finds our spot. We get our spot on Main Street, and we've got an hour to kill, because you got to get there an hour early if you want to get a decent spot on Main Street, at least that. And I can't think of a better way to spend that hour than having another perfect Disney treat at the Gibson Girl. And you can think about ice cream and caramel syrup and chocolate syrup, or a sundae, or a root beer float. No. An orange float, because orange floats are better. Not if you agree. Thank you very much. Don't forget, these do have mobile order. So one of us gets on our app and places our order, and then sends another one of our group over there to pick up all those delicious treats that we get to enjoy while we wait for the parade. And then 3 o'clock hits, and you're like, where's the parade? And remember, you know what? Even though it's 3 o'clock, the parade starts at Small World, man. We got to wait another 20 minutes. We got to wait another 20 minutes for that parade to get down to Main Street, but that's okay, because we are, as this group, having that shared experience again, the collective moment, waiting, the anticipation. And then when you hear that music for the first time ahead of the arrival of the parade, all sins are forgiven. All the wait, the wait for that parade is forgiven, because you're about to experience one of the greatest things. No matter what parade it is, no matter if it's Soundsational, Magic Happens, Paint the Night, the Halloween parade, the Christmas parade, they're all part of Disney's magical parade history. And as you watch the parade happen, you remember, you are reminded of just how wonderful Disney performers are, how much the cast members in this parade give themselves emotionally, with their energy in those parades. And you kind of wish, you hope that they'll stop and and give you a little one-on-one attention as they hit a pause in the parade. I simply, that is one of the best moments that you could ever have in a Disneyland parade, is when you get that one-on-one interaction. And then now, having seen the parade, now all I can think about is the fireworks. Are we going to be able to watch fireworks tonight? Probably yes, but there's still time. There's still time to do some other things before we start thinking about fireworks. And because we've been in such a Walt mood, we'll go right back to Adventureland and do that thing that we were supposed to do or wanted to do a little earlier, and that is ride the Jungle Cruise. Never mind that it's a 45-minute wait. This time we're going to do it. And you'll remind your friends in the party that, yeah, don't forget, this line does go quick, though. There are boats coming in and out of this thing constantly. You move through that queue super fast. And by the way, it's the greatest queue ever, so what's wrong with spending 45 minutes in the Jungle Cruise queue? And then maybe you can ninja a little queue space by, hoping that some guests forget that the line splits, and everybody goes right, but nobody's going left, and you go left at the right time, and you can get a few spots ahead. And then when you get down to the bottom, you can make that time honored tradition of wondering if you should take the left side or the right side as you approach the boarding of the Jungle Cruise boats. And I, for one, almost always navigate towards the left if I can, if only because I want to be able to lean out over the rail and look and see who our skipper might be, and wonder, is that going to be our boat? And watch the guests deboard from the boat, and it is, well, I keep saying this, the definition of a Disney experience. And then we'll get on our boat and say goodbye to all the beautiful people, except for that guy, and then wonder if we're going to get any new jokes. Maybe the skipper might point out some of his favorite plants, wildlife on the cruise. There's some right there. There's another one. Oh, Jungle Cruise is amazing. I am still hungry. We've been eating all day, but I'm still hungry. And Bengal barbecue is right there. Bengal barbecue. Never fails. Never fails. And there's a skewer for everybody. Banyan beef skewer. No. What about the Bengal beef skewer? Nope, you're both wrong. The safari skewer is the way to go. And then maybe we can agree that this is the only way that a human should eat a vegetable. And of course, don't forget a jungle julep. And then as we sit there and enjoy our skewers from Bengal barbecue, we can wonder what's left. The sun is setting, but there's plenty of things that we can do at night that are as magical as anything we could have done throughout the day. Like the Astral Orbiter, one of the most underrated nighttime attractions that you will find at Disneyland. And there's times. Remember that time? Remember that time we caught the fireworks while the Astral Orbiter was in flight? And what a breathtaking, perfect moment that is. It's, again, one of the most Disneyland things that can happen to you. It fills me up, because that is intent. That is what more could they have asked for us? Or could we have asked of Disneyland? And we can remember the time we did the same thing at Big Thunder, because we haven't done that yet, but we did get a fast pass early, so we can go to Big Thunder and try that again. Because remember that one time that if you time it just right, you can watch the fireworks go off while you're riding Big Thunder. But we're not going to do that this time, actually, because our plan is to see the fireworks up close and personal. We're going to go try to watch them from Main Street, which really is the way it should be done. Closer to the castle, the better, obviously, unless you're blocked by those trees at the hub. So you got to either get in front of the hub or further back down Main Street if you can help it. And then while we wait for the fireworks show, we can have that age-old discussion: which fireworks show is the best? Believe? Some think it's Believe, but I don't. The 60th. Pretty great, but no. No, the best is Remember. Remember, dreams come true. And that's what we're going to get on this night. Assuming, of course, there are no unexpected winds at high elevations. Because that would be a bummer. That would be a Disney experience. I'm not going to lie to you. That is part of what happens at Disneyland sometimes, but not tonight. Tonight we do get to watch those fireworks. And when they're over, and you listen to Julie Andrews and you think about what you've just witnessed, and you know that your Disneyland heart in that moment is full. You've gotten your kiss goodnight, as they say, from Walt and from Disney. So how do you wrap up one of the best days you've ever had at Disneyland? What is the most traditional way, to my mind, of ending a Disneyland day? Well, that's late night shopping on Main Street, starting at the candy shop to find those snacks that you can take home with you, and then you can eat and remember that day that you had at Disneyland. For me, it's peanut brittle, or maybe some English toffee. For Liz, shortbread cookies are always a win for her, although she does like to take home a candied apple from time to time. And while you're trying to figure all that out, you look around, you're like, oh my God, everybody has the same idea. The Candy Palace is jam-packed full of guests, but that's okay because, again, it's that shared experience. And you want more of that, just go down the street to the Emporium and witness folks trying to get their last-minute commemorative merchandise from their visit to Disneyland. Maybe you want to get a pin. The pins are constantly changing. Whatever the latest seasonal shirt might be, or Spirit jersey, or maybe you like Disney plushes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just having that thing from Disneyland is enough to trigger those memories. When I was a kid, I remember I always wanted the little pen, the Disney pen. That sometimes there was the curly ones, but sometimes it was just a regular Disney pen. It was a simple thing. It didn't have to be a lot of money, but I remember asking my parents for that when we left. I want that Disney pen. And then that's it. We head out the turnstile, and don't you know? You feel that moment of hesitation. Like, I don't want to walk through that turnstile. I don't want to go through the turnstile because that turnstile means it's over. And that, you could go back in, I guess, but you're not. But the day is officially over, and it's final at that point when you go through the turnstile, and it's a bittersweet goodbye, as is the train ride, or the tram ride. If you take that back to the Mickey and Friends parking structure, taking that tram ride, while very Disney, especially the tram ride in, but that very Disney way to travel, but it's bittersweet because it's taking you back to your car to go home. Driver, you were clear. But don't worry, Fresh Baked. Don't worry. I know this is a soft spot for some of you out there, and you may or may not have wanted to hear me recite an almost perfect Disneyland day, but it won't be long. It won't be long for you. It won't be long for us. And if it can't be that way for you, you can watch us at Fresh Baked, because we're going to do that day. We're going to have that day, and you can enjoy it with us if you just follow along here on Fresh Baked. We need only to have faith and to do our part to accelerate that time frame. The more that we do our part, the quicker that day will come. And when that day does come, be kind to cast members that you encounter on your daily visit, because they do deserve your kindness and your respect, because they are trying to deliver to you that experience that doesn't happen. That experience doesn't happen without cast members. All they want to do is create magic for you guys. They don't want to tell you to put your mask on. They don't want to tell you to mind your 6 feet. They'd rather not. All they want to do is be messengers of magic. That's what they want to do. So don't make it hard on them. Okay? Make it easy for them to do that. Improve your mindset and let that magic happen for you. We've already seen it. It's begun at Disney World, and it continues at Downtown Disney today, and hopefully tomorrow, figuratively, it'll happen again for us at Disneyland. And until then, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Remember that we love you very much. Be kind to one another. and fresh baked.